Hello, and welcome back to the Modeling Success in Action podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today I am joined by the just fabulous, fiery, ferocious Rhiannon Foster. So, Rhiannon is an award winning Vancouver realtor and founder of Real Estate Obsessed, specializing in transitional real estate, downsizing, divorce, estates, and major life moves. With over 15 years in the industry and a stack of negotiation credentials, she's known for blending razor sharp strategy with heart, humor, and real world guidance. She helps people make smart moves in emotional moments without losing their minds or their money. Welcome, Rhiannon. It's so great to have you here.
No, thank you so much. I'm actually really honored to be here. So thank you so much for the invitation. This is great.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm honored to have you on the show. Like when
Great.
I say like fiery and fierce, I mean it. Like the first time I ever met you, like you stuck out in a crowd of people I had never met before. You had so much energy and life behind you that it was like hard not to notice you.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, partially the red hair, so fiery personality, that kind of stuff. And honestly, I think that once I finally hit my 40s, I really began living very authentically and very much so myself. So,
Yeah? What
yeah.
changed?
Um, you know what? I think I don't know what it was. I think there was something about like the word 40. You know, how sometimes when you're growing up you're like by the time you're this age you should be an adult. And there's beliefs that are instilled in you that aren't actually yours, but in this case it was like when you're 40, that's when you can actually, let loose and be yourself, and you'll be a full-fledged adult by then. And I think there was something stuck in my head from a very, very long time ago that I just couldn't shake.
So
So
you're just waiting for 40 to finally let yourself live the way you wanted to live.
pretty much.
Yeah,
And
and
here
now
we
you got
are.
the blank check. I love it. That's so good. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So then I think that I kind of want to get this ball rolling with like maybe we begin at the beginning and we end at the end. So
That's a pretty safe way to
I know.
like run
Like,
this.
because I was
Uh,
gonna I was
but
gonna ask about real estate obsessed, but I was like, no, I'm gonna ask that later because what I want to
great.
ask first is how you ended up in the specific niche, the specific role that you're in right now, helping those people through the emotional times. Because like I don't know how, as a hypnotist, somehow I've ended up in this niche where I'm helping a lot of realtors and mortgage brokers and that kind of thing. And managing that client relationship, managing like that because it's so personal. It's your home, it's your life, right? So how did you end up in this realm of what you do? How'd that happen?
Yeah, and I mean, real estate is a story unto itself. But so the specific niche that I run, so I'm in transitional real estate, and I coined the term, and it really helps deal with individuals and families who are in highly emotional states while they're going through their transaction. So loss of loved one, divorce, seniors leaving their home for the first time in 30, 40 years, who've been living there their entire lives, relocations, things where the emotional stakes are just that much higher. And not
Mm.
that not to say that every real estate transaction doesn't already have that, but there's something in addition,
It's
right?
heightened.
That
It
little
it
slice of the
certainly is.
pie.
I mean,
Yeah.
any transition, like, even if you're just going, "Hey, I wanna go to a different house," that's a transition, but if it's in the middle of a divorce or in the middle of a loss of a loved one or in the middle of realizing that you're no longer having your independence and you're having to be downsized.
Mhm.
So how do you manage the
Yeah.
relational side of that? How do you manage you through the relational side of that?
Well, it took a lot of personal development. Let's start with that.
You
Because
don't
I
say.
didn't yeah, yeah, right. I didn't end up having just the emotional intelligence right off the bat to just make all that work. So, and I went through a lot of personal development courses, programs, and shifted a lot internally. And that all started with really being able to trust myself before anybody else could really trust me. And, I'd worked in real estate for 4 years before that transition started. And when it finally clicked for me, it actually made a huge difference because clients responded to me differently. And so while I was doing that personal development, I was also working on the business and getting the credentials also to be of service to clients. So very specifically, I became a certified transition coach. So I can actually coach people through the process of buying in this sort of heightened state. So there's that. And then got a couple of negotiating certificates. I became a seniors real estate expert. And that all lent itself to being very, very useful for my clients. And it also made me, I mean, more trustworthy because I was willing to go that extra mile.
Mhm.
Right. And the reason I really got into that space was my grandmother had passed away. and property was actually back in Ontario. So I picked out the agent, handpicked her, and she was absolutely fantastic. But when we went through the whole process, I realized there was something missing.
Mm.
There was something very personal. There was things that just weren't there that I really, until you actually go through it and you step into that space, you just wouldn't know that it was missing. And at that moment, I figured it out and I was like, oh my goodness, we have to add a couple of things. One most specific was a communication strategy, right? So that
Mm.
everybody who was involved was hearing the same thing even though they communicate in different ways, right? So just those small touches made such a huge difference and made it like a world of difference for my clients. So, and it's not just the transitional clients that get that, level of intensity now from me, but it's every client, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, just a very interesting and different way to put a spin on things. And, as soon as I made space for that, then those clients just came.
Yeah.
Right? So they just referred to me and they just fell into line one after the other. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really love that you said I had to learn to trust myself before other people could trust me, right? Like, so what was it like for you to know that you were really trusting yourself and like settled in that?
That's a sweet and fun question, isn't it? Because that wasn't an easy place to get to, right?
Yeah.
And mostly because of my childhood. I had had a pretty rough childhood, where, I didn't, come out of it, in a safe space, and so I would, wear a mask, I would put on a front, I was not authentic by any means, and my, excitement and exuberance could just overshadow something, so you'd never actually saw what was below, and there was no real compassion for myself or for others, because I was so busy trying to be something else, right?
Mhm.
And it took a very, very long time, and I still, still sometimes dealing with, having doubts about, trusting myself or go through a situation, whether that be an emotional one with, a relationship of some sort, and you're constantly peeling back the layers of the onion as you discover more about yourself, or
Yeah.
at least I do in my case.
Yeah.
And
So in other
but
words, you're still human.
yeah, yeah, I mean, superhuman,
Yeah.
right? But but it's true, right? So, like, all those little things, it takes a lot to, like, to get to the other side of it. And even once you're on the other side, or at least I've found that for me, there's still more discovery and more work to be done, for sure. So, none of this is an endpoint. It is all a learning journey, and I really personally just hope the learning doesn't end.
Yeah. Well, there is no
Yeah,
arriving, right? So as long as you're still alive, there's still lessons to be learned. There's still things happening.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So okay, so now we have the beginning. So let's move through to like what's happening now, right? So for those of the people that are listening and even for me, what's real estate obsessed? What's that?
So literally, and you're hearing it first, and everybody hear it. So real estate obsessed is the new iteration of who I am and who, or what my real estate journey has become, because real estate obsessed uh, is really like where my heart is. So I'm obsessed with the real estate. I'm obsessed with my clients. I'm obsessed with getting good deals, doing negotiations, and it is that true passion that I have, and it's just the new branding that actually takes all that over the line, right?
Mhm.
So super excited about all of that. The final branding launch will be the 15th of February. Woo! Very excited.
Woo!
So, but yeah, but I thought we'll start using some of that
Yeah.
terminology and get it out into the world.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
we're
very, very
recording
excited
this
about that.
at the end of January. So chances are by the time February comes around, this is going to be like it'll be live. It'll be lined up right near it. That's perfect. And I love that you chose obsessed because it's interesting because in hypnosis, we really do we have like a saying like everything is obsession. Right. And like
Yeah.
if you want to take action, if you want to make a change, you kind of have to let yourself get obsessed. Like it's almost like that new dating feeling, right? When you meet somebody and it lets you stay up till 4 in the morning, right? Like, and you're like, you exactly all of a sudden you have the energy to do what you need to do because there's obsession happening, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
thinking
And
about
and
that.
the true passion, right,
Yeah.
behind
Hmm.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and real estate passion just didn't have the same ring.
Yeah. No, real estate passion. Like, yeah, but real estate obsessed. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that, I mean, I know that for you, there's been some shifts in the way that you're interacting in business, right? I mean, like for everybody, not just in the real estate world, for everybody, the AI thing is kind of, it's all over. It's taking over the
Yeah.
world and it's disrupting stuff. And so for you, you're teaching other realtors how to use this. You're helping them to apply things. So how did you wrap your mood, your attitude, your mind around adopting this instead of feeling, because a lot of people are feeling apprehensive or scared or like out of their depth or overwhelmed. There's a lot happening. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, so I see all of this change with AI, nothing but opportunity on my side. And I think I'm just fortunate that way. I'm sort of in between, the real, like I'm on the cusp, like born in 80. So I could be a Gen Z, I could be a millennial, but I'm something totally different, right? So I see technology as an opportunity for myself. And so with this, it is anything that can make my life easier and that gives me the opportunity to serve clients better. It's an absolute no-brainer to me. So integrating it into the business has been a lot of fun. It's a lot of learning, which is the other part of my life that I really like. I really love that learning aspect and trying new things. And it turns out to be something that I actually am quite obsessed with. And it takes up a little bit of extra time than it should, but it really is fascinating, some of the stuff that you can do. And, you don't need to be a coder, a programmer, all these things. Like I've built apps on my own and done things that, you wouldn't expect this to have done at all. So it's just very, very cool because I'm a bit of a nerd deep down inside, a little bit techie, but I'm not, you wouldn't look at me and be like, oh, that girl can build an app. But now I can. You can. All of us
Yeah.
can. It's crazy. And so, on integrating it with real estate, it's about having the opportunity to serve the people we serve better. That's all it is, right? And if I can use tools to make that happen, so be it. Like it was back in the day, rather than using an Excel file, you went to a CRM, right? Just
Mhm.
all the little changes along the way.
From a Rolodex
Yeah,
to the Excel to
yeah,
the, because I
exactly.
remember one of my first jobs when I was young was my mom was a real estate agent and she hired me. She paid me
Right.
for data entry. She paid me to painstakingly, card by card, enter the details into her spreadsheet. So even even now, if I look at I mean, I haven't had to use a resume in years, right? You run your own business, you don't really need a resume. But even on my resume, it still says data entry, 1998.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? And that's,
Yeah,
it's those kinds of things that actually it's funny to laugh about, but yeah,
yeah,
from rotary phones and everything else, the
yeah.
technology has just gotten better and it's, able to help us. I mean, when I started in real estate, there was, I mean, obviously nothing like this, no videos, no podcasting, none of that stuff we were doing. But even so, for us to get any information was still very challenging. We were just coming out of a time where you would have a book and every Monday, you would flip through and find all the properties that you were looking for clients and no beautiful photos, no MLS listings, and it's just, and the technology is going to change. It's just about being adaptable and being in that space. And again, serving the people that we serve best. Like I should be freed up to have these conversations and to help clients and not have to do paperwork or data entry or
Yeah.
flip through a Rolodex, right?
And it was wild. Yeah.
Oh, the old days.
Oh, the old days. Yes,
Just
exactly.
like rotary phones, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you've ever
I
seen
remember
there's
using a rotary phone, right? Yeah.
an amazing video on YouTube of this dad, and he plunks this phone down in front of two teenagers, and he's like, "Dial your grandma," and they're like, they don't know what to do with it. They
Yeah,
can't
they're trying to
figure it
push
out.
it like it's buttons. They're not. Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
I
It's
know, right? Imagine
incredible.
the patience that we had back then, right? Because everything in life was so much slower. Even dialing a phone wasn't like beep, beep, beep. There wasn't speed dial. It was literally like pull it over here and then
Yeah,
wait for it to go back. God forbid if it's a bunch of nines, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, which is my phone number 999. Like, oh
Yeah.
great, but
Took you forever.
but yeah. But you make a very valid point there right
Mhm.
now, right? The instantaneousness and the speed at which, we have to be on and we have to be delivering as business people can be challenging because of stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? People expect you to be here and now and available, which still, even with all the technology at our disposal, is not always the case, right?
Mhm.
So, and I mean, I know like for you for sure, and for myself, like we still need time for ourselves somewhere in there. It's
Yeah.
time to breathe, right?
Totally.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how do you protect your peace? Like how do you keep because you have a lot of energy. So when you're working in the niche that you're working in, it's even more heightened than a regular real estate job, right?
Yeah.
So and there's demands and there's expectations and like all this new stuff. So like what now that you trust yourself and you're in this new zone and you can be in this authenticity, like how do you keep your peace?
Yeah, and sometimes it can be challenging for
Yeah.
sure. And it is about learning to hold space for others and not absorb any of it, which it's easy to say, obviously, the easiest thing in the whole wide world to do, which is fine. And sometimes things do come home with you, but you have to be very cognizant of what that is. And so there's that piece. There's taking a little bit of time for myself. So for me, a decompression, hour at the very least, especially after big conversations when you're dealing with client or when I'm dealing with clients that are, especially divorcing ones. I've heard every bad thing about every woman, every bad thing about every man under the sun, as you can very well imagine. And but afterwards,
We should
taking
compare
that
stories.
time. Exactly. But just taking the time to sit down and let it all go, right? And for me, sometimes it's just one great big bubble bath or a walk, anything just to shake it off. And like those small times matter. And for me, I like to dance. So that is, dance and perform on stage. So that's something that I do where it's my time, where none of that is allowed to touch it. And I think that we have to have those moments and that little bit of time for ourselves. And in my schedule, that comes first. I
Mhm.
don't know about you, but that's the first thing that gets scheduled.
So you schedule you first and then work fits in around your life.
Yeah, I have to, right?
Yeah.
Or else. I mean, when I started in real estate, it was literally 24/7. We were doing deals at midnight, signing off on contracts, and we were still and that was before we could ever sign anything online. So we were driving to people's homes, home at 2 a.m., and it was ridiculous, right? And that is no way to run a business. And in
Mhm.
this day and age, no way. I did my first 2 years in real estate, realizing that I was going to burn out that way, and then I said, "No, my contracts will all be written so I can be in bed at 10." Right? I mean, you gotta have boundaries,
You do.
especially in this business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well,
It's
I feel
crazy.
like you gotta have boundaries kind of everywhere because, property
Yeah.
managers have this same kind of thing to deal with, right? And I'm
Mhm.
hearing it all the time, even just from like people, anyone that's like facing other people, right? If you're just behind a computer all day long, right? There's not as much going on. But when you're with a person, whether it's a coworker, a client, like your boss or whatever, it's like literally seeing their face and like reading the emotions and their vibes. It's a
Yeah.
lot to kind of separate you from the pressures of the outside world. So a lot of what I do with my clients is helping them to like have the difference and and be in acceptance of that. Like I can't control other people and that I can hold my own space and they have to hold theirs and
Yeah.
that all has to be okay. And if it's going to be messy and they're going to be pissed at me, oh well, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's just the way it is, right? Because
Mhm,
yeah, if we don't uh if I don't fill my cup, I can't fill anybody else's. Like and
mhm.
I really need to be present for myself to be present for anybody else. 100% that is a quintessential part of my daily. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get
Mhm.
it. Right.
So then if somebody wanted to model you, like if somebody wanted to step into your model of the world right away after they listen to this episode, what's one way that they can start
Ooh, now that is a dangerous question. I mean, dye
that?
your hair red, let's
You're
start
like, go
with
get some red
that.
lipstick, put on a pair of high
Well,
heels.
yeah, and I'm actually I don't have my like signature red lips on today,
Do
so
you
it's a
not? They're
little bit
pretty
weird.
red.
They match the outfit today. Yeah, no. So for me, I think that the number one thing, if somebody was going to step into my shoes and to start modeling my life, it would be when you're having conversations, be extraordinarily present, right? whatever that means to you. But it should be eye contact. It should be paying attention. Do not be distracted and really give somebody else your focus, because giving somebody your time is the most valuable thing that you can give someone, and people really, really appreciate it. That would
Mhm.
be hands down the very first and number one thing. And it should be one of the only things you're ever doing, right? Is really giving that gift.
Yeah. And I'm curious, when you're doing that, when you're fully present with somebody else, does
Yeah.
it help you take the pressure off of you? Like, does it help you get out of yourself because you're in with them?
I wouldn't even know, because I'm in that
'Cause you're
space,
so with
right?
them, right? Yeah. So the reason that
Exactly.
I point that out is because a lot of people are so worried about how they're gonna show up and if it's gonna be okay, if the other person's gonna
Yeah.
perceive them well. Like you said it at the beginning of the conversation, like, communicating in a way that everybody gets the same message, even if you have to say it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah,
I
I
know,
thought
I
that
agree, and all of that, it still goes back to, like,
yeah,
turning 40 and also not caring, right?
yeah.
And being in a place where, I'm, you know, people, I'm sure, judge me all the time, but I wouldn't notice,
Mhm.
right?
Right, and
Because
it's
I'm
also none of your
more
business.
present. Yeah, sorry.
Right. Yeah, because 'cause you're present. Exactly, because 'cause you're
Yep.
there in the moment and you're having an experience, and, like, that's where the real stuff happens, right? Like, this is where
Yeah,
success happens in reality, not in our head, not in the conversations that we have with ourselves, right? Not in the debates after the fact, "Oh, I should have said this." Oh, right? It's literally it's what's
yeah.
happening right then and there, and so if you're having this conversation with somebody in the back of your head, you're going, "Is my hair okay? Like, oh, did I say that right? How's my breath?" Right? Like, then you're, like, not having that experience, and it's gonna be so much less than it could be. But when you're
Yeah,
there
yeah. Less
yeah.
enjoyable, and
Mhm.
then yeah, but like you're saying, like, when you take that moment to lean in
Yeah.
and really pay attention, like, that is where life is actually the juiciest, I
Mhm.
find, right? That's where the kismet is, and all the real cool things actually start to happen.
Mhm. Right, and if I mean, like, in my profession, I find that when I'm tuned into somebody, when I'm really paying attention and I'm tuned in, I can see things long before, like, before that you
Mhm.
get there, it's like you see the hazards down the
Mhm.
road because
It's
you can tell just by the way say someone says something, you're like, "Oh, in 2 conversations from now, they're gonna be, like, circling back around and they're gonna want it differently," right? Like,
yeah,
when you're there, you can catch it right then and there, right? And
yeah.
yeah, head
No,
it off at the
I
pass.
totally agree. Yeah. No, and you're 100% right about that. It's almost like predicting the future. Ooh.
Almost, yeah. It's almost like the people that do that are just paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah,
Well played.
yeah.
Ooh,
Okay,
no,
awesome. So, this has been awesome, Rhiannon. So,
yeah, thank you
before we wrap
so
it up,
much.
anybody who wants to be in contact with her, I'm gonna leave all of her details below, and you can reach out, and is there anything that you wanna leave people with before we shut this down?
I know there's a lot of things going on in the world right now and a lot of things flying at us from different directions, but really just stay the course. Focus on yourself. You're the most important person in any situation. And just remember that you
Mhm.
deserve that grace.
Yeah, right? You're just as important as anybody else, so, like, why give up your peace? Totally. I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a graceful
Fun.
way to end this. Okay, so thank you for joining me, Rhiannon. Thank you all for
Thank
listening,
you so
and we'll
much.
see you next time.